The shocking truth behind Sandy Lyle's Masters miracle shot lies in what happened next. A tale of unfulfilled potential that haunts British golf to this day. That iconic 7-iron from the fairway bunker on Augusta's 18th hole in 1988, followed by the winning putt in his famous Scottish Jiggle celebration, should have been the launch pad for sustained greatness. Instead, it became the spectacular peak before an inexplicable decline. Lyle's story begins with immense promise. Born in England but representing Scotland, he followed his club professional father into the game. By age 17, he was already breaking records, becoming the youngest ever winner of the prestigious Brabazon Trophy in 1975. His amateur career flourished, and after turning professional in 1977, success came quickly. He captured European Tour Order of Merit titles in 1979, 1980, and later in 1985, establishing himself as a dominant force in European golf. But it was his major championship victories that truly etched his name in golf history. In 1985 at Royal Street George's, Lyle ended a painful 16-year drought for British golfers at the Open Championship. For Scotland specifically, the wait had been even longer, stretching back over half a century to Tommy Armour's triumph in 1931. This victory held special significance for Lyle, who had been in the crowd as an 11-year-old boy when Tony Jacklin won in 1969, inspiring his own golfing dreams. 3 years later came the crowning achievement, his 1988 Masters victory. The win broke another significant barrier, making Lyle the first British player ever to don the coveted green jacket. His triumph sparked a remarkable period of British dominance at Augusta, with Nick Faldo securing back-to-back victories in 1989 and 1990, followed by Ian Woosnam in 1991. What made Lyle's Masters win especially memorable was its dramatic conclusion. Tied for the lead on the 72nd hole, his tee shot found the fairway bunker. From an awkward uphill lie, unable to see the flagstick, Lyle produced one of the most iconic shots in Masters history. His perfectly struck 7-iron cleared the lip, soared over the flag, and used the green's contours to settle just 10 feet from the hole. He calmly sank the birdie putt to become the first player since Arnold Palmer in 1960 to birdie the final hole to win the Masters. By mid-1988, Lyle had reached the pinnacle of the sport. He added the Greater Greensboro Open and the World Match Play Championship to his Masters victory that year, defeating Nick Price, Seve Ballesteros, and Nick Faldo in succession to claim the world #1 ranking. His peers acknowledged his extraordinary natural talent. Faldo called him the greatest natural talent in the game, while Ballesteros offered the ultimate compliment: if we all played our best, Sandy would win. Then came one of golf's most perplexing collapses. Within 6 months of reaching world #1, Lyle's game inexplicably deteriorated. He admitted feeling uneasy about his ball striking even while achieving high finishes early in the 1989 season. His wife observed that he seemed golfed out and might have benefited from an extended break, a step Lyle seemed unwilling to take. His own assessment was devastatingly direct. It was as if someone had flipped a switch. I wasn't the same player. I'd lost it. The decline was so severe that in 1989, he withdrew himself from consideration for the European Ryder Cup team due to his poor form, a significant admission for a player of his stature. While occasional flashes of brilliance remained, like his victory at the Volvo Masters in 1992, this proved to be his final European Tour win. His consistent presence at the highest level had ended just 4 years after reaching the summit of the sport. What makes Lyle's story particularly frustrating is that his inconsistency was a recognized trait throughout his career. He described his own golf swing as a bit temperamental and characterized his career path as a roller coaster of peaks and lows. Peaks again. He acknowledged his capacity to win a tournament one week and potentially miss the cut by a wide margin the next. This volatility was evident even in the lead-up to his greatest triumphs. Just a month before his 1985 Open Championship victory, Lyle controversially walked off the course midway through his first round at the Irish Open due to poor play. His remarkable turnaround to win the Open weeks later exemplified the unpredictable nature of his game. Controversies and disputes further complicated Lyle's career narrative. Early tensions with Nick Faldo emerged when Faldo reported him for a rules violation during a tournament in Kenya, resulting in Lyle's disqualification. Though golfers are obligated to uphold the rules, this incident between two young players who would become dominant figures potentially sowed early seeds of rivalry. More damaging was a public feud with Colin Montgomerie decades later. When Montgomerie was selected for the 2010 European Ryder Cup captaincy, leaving Lyle as the only member of Europe's Big Five never to captain the team, Lyle reacted with public criticism. He accused Montgomerie of cheating in the 2005 Indonesian Open, where Montgomerie had been filmed apparently replacing his ball in a more favorable position after a weather delay. Lyle's frustration stemmed from feeling overlooked despite his achievements and seniority. He was particularly upset that Montgomerie had previously been a vocal supporter of his captaincy aspirations, only to accept the role himself. Lyle reported that his calls to Montgomerie went unanswered after the decision, eventually receiving only a formal letter he suspected was written by Montgomerie's manager. Adding to these tensions was a highly publicized incident at the 2008 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. Lyle withdrew after completing just 9 holes of his first round, citing cold hands. The decision provoked intense criticism, with Lyle finding himself plastered all over the back pages like public enemy number 1. Many believe this withdrawal significantly damaged his Ryder Cup captaincy prospects. Lyle defended himself, insisting he had a pre-existing hand and knuckle injury, a nerve issue worsened by the extreme weather conditions. The contrast between Lyle's extraordinary natural ability and his failure to sustain dominance remains one of golf's great enigmas. Was his decline due to technical flaws in his temperamental swing, mental fragility under sustained pressure, or simply burnout after reaching the top? Lyle favored a straightforward approach to golf, stating, "I don't get too complicated. I think that's been one of my best assets." This simplicity may have been integral to his fluid power and seemingly effortless grace when performing well, but perhaps became a disadvantage during struggles. Unlike more methodical players who could deconstruct and rebuild their swings during slumps, Lyle's less analytical style might have made it harder to diagnose and correct problems once his confidence ebbed. The relatively abrupt end to his time among the game's elite contrasts sharply with the longevity displayed by contemporaries like Bernard Langer and Nick Faldo. Lyle's temperament added another dimension to his profile. Often described as easygoing, some perhaps misinterpreted this as lacking the necessary hardness for consistent victory, a notion Lyle himself rejected, stating, "I know people think I'm too easygoing, too soft, but I don't accept that only hard bastards make champions. Yes, I can win the way I am." Despite the unfulfilled potential, Lyle's impact on golf remains significant. His British Major Championship breakthrough inspired a generation of players. His contributions to Europe's Ryder Cup resurgence were vital, particularly as a member of the historic 1985 team that secured Europe's first victory since 1957, and the 1987 squad that claimed Europe's first ever win on American soil. His achievements were eventually recognized with induction into the World Golf Hall of Fame in 2012 and a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Scottish Golf Awards in 2013. He was appointed a member of the Order of the British Empire for his services to golf and marked his 100th major championship appearance at the 2022 Masters before making his final competitive start at Augusta in 2023. Sandy Lyle's career represents one of golf's most fascinating paradoxes. A player blessed with extraordinary natural talent who achieved historic breakthroughs, yet somehow never sustained the dominance his abilities seemed to promise. His story reminds us that in golf, as in life, potential alone is never enough. It's the harnessing of that potential consistently and under pressure that separates the all-time greats from those who merely flirt with greatness. In the final assessment, Sandy Lyle remains a pioneer for British golf, a 2-time major champion who inspired a generation with unforgettable moments of brilliance. Yet the lingering question remains, with all that natural talent and the world at his feet in 1988, how much more might have been? Was Jack Nicklaus really as great as they say? Despite his legendary status, he faced plenty of controversy, including lawsuits, changes to the Ryder Cup, and even more shocking, a history with racism. Yet through it all, he managed to avoid serious fallout and keep his reputation intact, leaving many to wonder how he pulled it off. Back in 1994, Nicklaus made a controversial comment about black golfers, claiming they had different muscles that react in different ways. This remark quickly sparked a massive backlash, with many people calling it racially insensitive. It wasn't just a minor incident. This statement caused serious waves of criticism, and people began to scrutinize his views more closely. The reaction was swift and intense, with both fans and fellow golfers voicing their disapproval. He didn't stay silent for long, and he later tried to clarify his statement, explaining that he didn't intend to offend anyone. He claimed that his words were taken out of context, and he apologized if they came across the wrong way. However, the damage had already been done. His reputation took a hit, and the incident became a stain on his otherwise legendary career. Even though he offered an explanation, it didn't change the fact that the comment had already raised uncomfortable questions about race and perceptions within the sport. What started as a single controversial remark grew into a much larger discussion about race in golf, a sport often criticized for its lack of diversity. Despite his attempts to move past it, this moment in his career is something that hasn't been easily forgotten. It wasn't just his racially insensitive comments that got him into trouble over the years. His strong opinions often put him in the middle of controversy. Take, for example, the 1970s when he proposed some pretty bold changes to the Ryder Cup. Nicklaus suggested that they include players from outside the US and the UK, which was a huge shakeup for the event. At the time, the Ryder Cup had a long history of being just a competition between the United States and Britain, so his idea to expand it was pretty revolutionary. But not everyone was on board with this change. A lot of people in the golf world felt that it would mess with the tradition of the Ryder Cup. For them, it was all about the US versus the UK, and they were really protective of that. They saw his proposal as a threat to what made the Ryder Cup so special. This idea sparked heated debates, and Nicklaus, as usual, wasn't afraid to stand by his views, even though it caused some serious tension. Looking back, though, we can see that his question wasn't exactly out of place. In the years that followed, the Ryder Cup did expand to include players from other countries, which helped make it the global event it is today. But at the time, Nicklaus's proposal really ruffled some feathers and got him into some hot water with traditionalists who weren't ready for that kind of change. But his challenges didn't end when he retired from golf. Years after retiring, he found himself in a whole new kind of spotlight. The drama began when the Nicklaus companies, now led by Howard Milstein, created an AI version of Jack Nicklaus, accusing the 84-year-old golfer of unfair competition. The company claimed he was interfering with their business by continuing to design courses and make appearances. They sued, saying they owned his image rights. Nicklaus's team fought back, arguing the non-compete agreement was no longer valid and that his identity still belonged to him. The legal battle started after Nicklaus split from the company, with an arbitrator ruling his non-compete was void, while the company allegedly defamed him by connecting him to LIV Golf. Nicklaus was practically born to be an athlete, with a father who was a true all-rounder. His father wasn't just a businessman, he was a talented athlete too. He played football for the Ohio State Buckeyes and even went on to play semi-professional football under a fake name for the Portsmouth Spartans, who later became the Detroit Lions in the NFL. On top of that, Charlie was a scratch golfer and a local tennis champ when he was younger, so it's no surprise that sports ran in Jack's blood. He first picked up a golf club at age 10 and quickly fell in love with it. He began to show his talent early, scoring a 51 on his first 9 holes at Scioto Country Club. His father, who had joined the club that same year, was a big influence, and he worked with a golf pro named Jack Grout, who would go on to become Jack's lifelong coach. By the time he was 12, he had already won his first Ohio State junior title. Over the next few years, he racked up victories, including the Tri-State High School Championship and the Ohio Open. At just 16, he competed against professionals and even shot a course record 66 at Scioto Country Club. By the time he was 18, Jack was already making a name for himself in golf, winning major amateur titles like the U.S. Amateur twice. While attending Ohio State, he balanced his college studies with his growing golf career, winning big titles like the NCAA championship. Jack originally planned to follow in his father's footsteps and go into pharmacy, but as his golf career took off, he decided to turn professional. He turned professional in late 1961, making his PGA Tour debut the following year. He'd once considered staying an amateur to follow in the footsteps of his idol, Bobby Jones, but decided that to be the best, he needed to compete against the best. Shortly after turning pro, his future agent, Mark McCormick, was interviewed and referred to him as the Golden Bear. While this nickname was popularized by McCormick, it could also have come from Nicklaus's high school, where his teams were called the Golden Bears. He had an impressive start, winning his first PGA Tour event in just his 17th start, the 1962 U.S. Open, defeating Arnold Palmer in a playoff. That victory thrust him into the spotlight. By the end of his first year, Nicklaus had earned over $60,000, been named Rookie of the Year, and had already won multiple tournaments. In 1963, he claimed two major championships, the Masters and the PGA Championship, cementing his place among golf's elite. Throughout the 1960s, his career was marked by consistent success. He became the youngest player to win all four major championships, completing the career Grand Slam in 1966. By 1967, he had claimed another U.S. Open title, setting records and winning multiple tournaments worldwide. Nicklaus's rivalry with Arnold Palmer also fueled interest in the sport, and he continued dominating through the years. After he won the 1967 U.S. Open in record-breaking style, he didn't claim another major until the 1970 Open Championship at St. Andrews. His performance in the years between was still strong, but his highest finish on the tour money list was second, and his lowest was fourth, his worst ranking since turning pro. He finished runner-up in both the 1968 U.S. Open and Open Championship, to rivals Lee Trevino and Gary Player, respectively. He made his Ryder Cup debut in 1969 at age 29, where the entire competition came down to his match against Tony Jacklin. In a dramatic moment, Nicklaus conceded Jacklin's final putt, ensuring the match ended in a tie, which was a pivotal moment in Ryder Cup history. He faced some challenges, including weight gain, but he turned things around in 1969 by losing 25 pounds. His father's death in early 1970 fueled him emotionally, helping him win the 1970 Open Championship. That victory, coupled with several wins in 1970 and 1971, marked a major comeback. He continued his dominance, becoming the first golfer to win all four majors twice, a record-setting achievement that solidified his place as one of the greatest. In 1980, he had a strong year despite not playing in many events. He had 4 top 10 finishes, including 2 major wins, the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. In the U.S. Open, he set a new scoring record of 272, surpassing his previous 275 record from 1967. He held on to this record until Rory McIlroy beat it in 2011. In the PGA Championship, he dominated, winning by 7 shots, which made him the record holder for the most PGA Championship wins at that time. Between 1981 and 1985, Nicklaus had a series of close calls, finishing runner-up 3 times and accumulating 7 more top 10 finishes in major events. In 1983, he finished second in both the PGA Championship and World Series of Golf. Nicklaus also set a significant milestone, becoming the first player to earn over $4 million in career earnings. In 1986, he made a remarkable comeback, winning his 6th Masters title at age 46, becoming the oldest Masters winner ever. His victory, which included an amazing final round of 65, is still remembered as one of the most emotional wins in golf history. This was his 18th and final major championship win. In 1974, he was inducted into the World Golf Hall of Fame. When you look at the numbers, it's clear Nicklaus is widely regarded as the greatest golfer of all time. His game had a certain vastness to it, a level of greatness that set him apart. That's a wrap for today's video. If you had a great time watching, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. The disagreement that caused Lee Trevino to boycott the tournament might sound unbelievable, but it was a real turning point in his life. Much like the hardships he faced in his career, Lee's childhood was spent in poverty, and he had to overcome personal battles as well. Life truly was a rough ride for him. Trevino had a tough start in life, growing up in poverty in Dallas, Texas. His childhood wasn't easy. He didn't have the comforts many others took for granted, and his family struggled to make ends meet. They didn't have much money, and basic things like food and clothes were sometimes hard to come by. On top of that, being Mexican-American in a time when there weren't many people of his background in the world of golf made things even harder for him. But all those challenges didn't break him. They shaped him. Growing up with such hardships gave Lee a tough, no-nonsense attitude. He learned early on how to work hard, stay focused, and keep going even when things seemed impossible. Trevino has been married 3 times over the years. His first 2 marriages ended in divorce, and it's been said that the pressure of his career played a big part in those relationships falling apart. Being on the road so much with all the traveling and the demands of being a top golfer made it tough to balance his personal life. On top of that, reports have mentioned that his infidelity also contributed to the breakdown of those marriages. The stress of his career and the mistakes he made in his personal life likely caused Lee a lot of emotional pain. It's never easy when things go wrong at home, and having that kind of turmoil while trying to focus on a demanding career couldn't have been easy for him. Despite the personal challenges, he eventually found stability again, marrying his 3rd wife Claudia in 1983, and the two have been together ever since. Trevino had a bit of a rocky relationship with Augusta National, the famous course that hosts the Masters tournament. He wasn't a fan of the whole vibe there. The atmosphere didn't sit well with him, and he also felt like the course just wasn't a good fit for his playing style. He didn't like how it played to his strengths, and that made him uncomfortable. So in response to that, he decided to boycott the Masters for a few years. Looking back on it, though, Lee admitted that it was a decision he regretted. He later called it the greatest mistake of his career. It's easy to see why he felt that way. Augusta is one of the most prestigious tournaments in golf, and turning down the chance to compete there probably wasn't the best choice in hindsight. Trevino didn't hold back when he spoke out about the penalty Collin Morikawa received at the 2021 PGA Championship for breaking a rule with his green reading materials. Morikawa had accidentally used a book that wasn't allowed under the rules, and he was hit with a penalty for it. Trevino thought the whole situation was pretty ridiculous. He called the rule goofy, and he wasn't shy about expressing how he felt. To Trevino, the incident showed just how confusing and complicated the rules of golf can be. He argued that the whole thing didn't seem like a big deal, but the penalty was still handed down, which made him question whether the rules were too strict or just too complicated for players to keep track of. Trevino has made a few comments about Tiger Woods over the years that have stirred up some controversy. At times, his remarks have been seen as critical or even a little insensitive, especially when they have touched on race. While Trevino is known for speaking his mind and having a no-filter approach, some of what he's said about Wood has raised eyebrows. For example, he's made comments about Wood's impact on the game, sometimes in a way that seemed dismissive or less supportive than expected, given Wood's dominance in golf. Trevino has also commented on the attention Wood received as an African-American player in a predominantly white sport, which some people felt was a bit tone-deaf or out of line. Trevino has always been known for speaking his mind. He's the kind of guy who doesn't hold back, no matter the topic. Whether he's talking about the rules of golf, other players, or even social issues, Lee has never been one to sugarcoat his opinions, and because of that, he's sometimes found himself in the middle of a bit of controversy. His outspoken nature means he doesn't shy away from tough or uncomfortable conversations, and that's gotten him into hot water a few times. For example, when it comes to golf rules, Lee has been vocal about what he sees as unnecessary or confusing regulations, often making headlines for his blunt takes. He's also weighed in on issues surrounding players, whether it's criticizing or offering his unique perspective on their behavior or performance. But it's not just golf he's talked about. Lee also made comments about broader social issues, some of which have sparked debates or drawn criticism. Speaking of how his career began, His first taste of golf came when his uncle handed him a few golf balls and an old club. From there, Lee's love for the game took off. By the time he was 14, Lee dropped out of school to work full-time. He earned $30 a week caddying and shining shoes, but that job came with some perks. The caddies had 3 short holes behind their shack, and after a long day of work, Trevino would grab his clubs and hit at least 300 balls, often on tough, bare ground that locals called Texas hardpan, and with the wind constantly blowing. Those conditions were tough, but they helped him develop one of the most unique and effective golf swings in the game. Trevino's swing became famous for being compact and unorthodox, but it was also incredibly effective. One of his signature shots was a controlled fade, though he had a whole range of shots in his arsenal. When Trevino turned 17 in December 1956, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. He served for 4 years as a machine gunner and was discharged in 1960 as a corporal with the 3rd Marine Division. After Trevino was discharged from the Marines, he moved to El Paso, Texas, where he worked as a club professional. To make some extra cash, he would gamble in head-to-head matches, testing his skills against others. Trevino's journey to success in golf was nothing short of remarkable. His big break came in 1966 when he qualified for the U.S. Open. Though he didn't win, he made the cut and finished tied for 54th, earning $600. The following year, in 1967, he qualified again and shot 283, finishing 5th, just 8 shots behind the winner, Jack Nicklaus. That earned him $6,000 and has secured him tour privileges for the rest of the season. As a rookie, Trevino finished 45th on the money list with $26,470 and was named Golf Digest's Rookie of the Year. His strong finish also earned him an exemption into the next year's U.S. Open. The real breakthrough came in 1968. In just his 2nd year on tour, Trevino won the U.S. Open at Oak Hill Country Club in New York. He shot an incredible 69, 68, 69, 69, becoming the first player to break 70 in all 4 rounds of a U.S. Open. He won by 4 strokes over Nicklaus, setting the stage for an unforgettable run. In the early 1970s, Trevino became Jack Nicklaus's top rival. In 1970, he finished as the highest earner on the PGA Tour, and in 1971, he won 6 tournaments, including the U.S. Open, Canadian Open, and the Open Championship, becoming the first player to win all 3 in the same year. He was named Sportsman of the Year by Sports Illustrated and received the Hickok Belt as the top professional athlete. Then in 1972, Trevino successfully defended his Open Championship title at Muirfield in Scotland. His 3rd round performance was legendary, 5 birdies in a row, including a bunker shot on the 16th and a 30-foot chip-in on the 18th. In the final round, he was tied with Tony Jacklin, but a key chip-in on the 17th helped him win by a stroke. Trevino famously said afterward, "I'm the greatest chipper in the world." Despite a lightning strike injury in 1975 that caused serious back problems, Trevino remained a top contender. He went on to win his 6th major at the 1984 PGA Championship, making history by being the first player to shoot all 4 rounds under 70. Trevino didn't just dominate in the U.S., he also found success internationally, with victories in Australia, Japan, and Europe. His charisma and talent made him a fan favorite, and he became a star on the Senior PGA Tour, winning 29 times, including 4 senior majors. In 1981, Trevino earned a spot in the World Golf Hall of Fame, a well-deserved recognition for his incredible career. Then in 2000, Golf Digest magazine ranked him as the 14th greatest golfer of all time. It's a testament to how much of an impact he had on the game. All right, that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it and want to stay in the loop, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Even the fittest athletes can be knocked down when their health takes a turn. When Seve Ballesteros passed away from a brain tumor, it shocked the world. Here's a player with so much passion for his game, someone who would fight for it, yet he fell victim to such a serious illness. In October 2008, Seve Ballesteros was at Madrid airport when he suddenly collapsed. After that, doctors discovered that he had a malignant brain tumor. Sev, known for his incredible strength and spirit on the golf course, didn't back down in the face of this challenge either. He went through several surgeries, along with chemotherapy and radiation, fighting as hard as he could. Despite his bravery, the tumor took a heavy toll on him. By 2011, his health started to really decline. His family had to make the heartbreaking decision to let everyone know that his condition was getting worse. On May 7, 2011, at just 54 years old, Seve passed away at his home in Pedreña, Spain. He was surrounded by his loved ones, and even though his battle was over, his legacy lived on. It was a tough moment for fans and the world alike, but his courage during this time only added to the admiration people had for him. What people will always remember about Seve Ballesteros is how fiercely he fought for his game, no matter what. Take his singles match against Paul Azinger, for example. There was a moment during the match when Ballesteros questioned whether Azinger's ball was legal and asked for a change. The referee ruled against him, and you could see how frustrated Seve was. It really got to him. Later on, Azinger hit his ball into the water, but then got a favorable drop, which only added to Ballesteros' anger. Seve believed that the American team was bending the rules, although he was quick to say that he didn't think they were actually cheating. But that wasn't the only time Seve found himself in a heated moment at the Ryder Cup. In another incident, he and his partner Jose Maria Olazabal were accused by the American team of trying to mess with their opponent's focus. The Americans claimed Seve and Jose were coughing on purpose during their backswings, which led to a pretty intense exchange between the players. Ballesteros' career is one that will never be forgotten. From a young age, Seve showed the world that he was destined for greatness in golf. He turned professional in 1974 at just 16 years old, already showing the kind of passion and talent that would later define his career. It wasn't long before he burst onto the international stage. His big moment came in 1976 at the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale Golf Club. Seve finished in second place, just behind the winner, Johnny Miller. He was leading the tournament after 3 rounds, but a final round 74 left him tied for second with none other than the legendary Jack Nicklaus, 6 shots behind Miller. Even though he didn't win, it was clear to everyone watching that Seve was a force to be reckoned with. That performance in 1976 set the tone for the rest of his career. Later that year, he went on to win the European Tour Order of Merit, which is the money title for the tour. This was just the beginning. Seve would go on to win this title a total of 6 times, a record at the time. His first major came in 1979 when he won the Open Championship. Seve's closing round of 70 was enough to secure the victory. It was a memorable win for a number of reasons. For one, Seve hit his tee shot into a car park on the 16th hole, but still managed to make a birdie. It was a display of his incredible skill and focus under pressure, and it showed why he was so beloved by fans. In addition to his Open Championship win in 1979, Seve had an amazing run in the 1980s. He won the Masters tournament in both 1980 and 1983. The 1980 win was especially significant because it marked the first time a European golfer had won the prestigious tournament. At 23 years old, Seve became the youngest winner of the Masters at the time, a record that would later be broken by Tiger Woods in 1997. But that didn't take away from how special Seve's victory was in 1980. His win also made him the first European to win a major in America, making him a trailblazer in the sport. Seve's 1983 Masters victory was just as impressive. The tournament was delayed due to rain, but Seve stayed calm and collected, going on to win by 5 shots. He became the last player to win the Masters on a Monday, as the final round was played then due to the weather delay. For Seve, that win was another shining moment in his career. Seve's passion for the game was evident in everything he did, and his victories on the course were just the beginning. He went on to win the Open Championship again in 1984 and 1988, cementing his place as one of the greatest golfers of all time. His 1984 win at St. Andrews was especially memorable. After sinking a putt on the 18th green to win, Seve said that it was the happiest moment of my whole sporting life. It was the perfect ending to an unforgettable round. But Seve wasn't just focused on individual glory. He was a key player in the European Ryder Cup teams for much of the 1980s and 1990s. Over the years, he played in 37 matches against the United States, scoring 22 1-2 points. His partnership with fellow Spaniard Jose Maria Olazabal was one of the most successful pairings in Ryder Cup history. Together, they won 11 matches and have 2, showing the kind of chemistry and teamwork that made them a formidable duo. Sev's contributions to the Ryder Cup went beyond his playing career. He captained the European team to victory in 1997 at Valderrama Golf Club in Spain, the first time the Ryder Cup was held in continental Europe. That win was a crowning achievement for Seve, as it solidified his role as one of the most influential figures in the history of the competition. In addition to his Ryder Cup success, Sev was also on top in terms of rankings. He was the first European golfer to be ranked #1 in the world, a position he held for a total of 61 weeks between 1986 and 1989. His time at the top was a testament to his consistency and excellence. He was also ranked #1 in McCormick's World Golf Rankings in 1983, 1984, and 1985, before the official World Golf Rankings were introduced. As his career progressed, Seve's focus shifted. He continued to play, but injuries began to take their toll. His back problems, in particular, made it harder for him to compete at the highest level. By the late 1990s, Sev was playing less often, but he made a notable comeback in 2005 when he competed in the Madrid Open. He expressed a desire to play more tournaments in 2006, but his physical condition made it increasingly difficult. In 2007, after struggling with injuries and health problems, Seve made the difficult decision to announce his retirement from professional golf. He had one last run at the Champions Tour, but soon realized that his body could no longer keep up with the demands of the game. During his retirement announcement, Seve also addressed rumors about his mental health, specifically reports that he had attempted suicide. He clarified that these reports were not true and that he had only been briefly hospitalized due to concerns about his heart. Fortunately, he was released after doctors gave him a clean bill of health. Even after retiring, Sev stayed involved in the game he loved. He took on the role of captain for the European team in the Royal Trophy, a competition similar to the Ryder Cup, starting in 2006. He also became heavily involved in golf course design, famously altering the 17th hole at Valderrama before the 1997 Ryder Cup. Seve's legacy was far-reaching, and his influence on the sport continued long after he retired. In recognition of his incredible contributions to the sport, several honors were bestowed upon Seve after his death. The airport in his hometown of Cantabria was renamed in his honor, becoming Seve Ballesteros Santander Airport. This was a fitting tribute to a man who had become one of the most iconic figures in Spanish sports history. The European Tour also made sure to honor Seve's legacy. In 2017, the European Tour Players Player of the Year award was renamed in his honor, and the first recipient of the Seve Ballesteros Award was Henrik Stenson. This award serves as a reminder of Seve's impact on the game and the respect he earned from his peers. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe so you never miss out on our future content. Thanks for watching. If you're a golf fan, there's no way you haven't heard of Billy Casper. How could you not? The man was a legend, but his story took a heartbreaking turn when a heart attack took him away, leaving the golf world in mourning. And in the wake of his passing, something else became clear. Behind all that success were struggles few had known about. His journey to greatness hadn't been easy. Billy Casper, one of golf's all-time greats, sadly passed away on February 7th, 2015, at the age of 83. A heart attack took him at his home in Springville, Utah, leaving behind a legacy that fans still cherish. But for those who followed his career closely, his journey wasn't just about victories. It was about standing strong against the challenges, some of which only came to light after his passing. Casper's fans stood by him through it all, from his thrilling win at the 1966 U.S. Open, where he took down Arnold Palmer in a playoff, to the controversies that tested his character. While some believe Palmer was worn out and not at his best during that playoff, Casper's incredible performance couldn't be ignored. He was a fighter, always finding a way to win, but not without facing scrutiny along the way. One of the biggest controversies of his career came at the 1970 Masters tournament, when he was accused of taking an illegal drop on the 13th hole. The accusations put him under a harsh spotlight, but in the end, he was cleared of any wrongdoing. Then came the 1971 Ryder Cup, where he represented the United States in a tough loss to Great Britain and Ireland. His performance in the singles matches was criticized, with some questioning his form, but Casper remained a respected figure in the game. Even later in his career, controversy seemed to follow him. At the 1975 Masters, he was once again accused of breaking the rules, this time for allegedly improving his lie in a bunker. But just like before, he was cleared, proving that his integrity remained intact despite the rumors. Now let's take a look at his incredible career, a journey so remarkable that fans still feel his absence today. With 51 PGA Tour wins to his name, he cemented himself as one of the greatest golfers of all time. His first victory came in 1956, and from that point on, he never looked back. That total of 51 wins places him 7th on the all-time list, an achievement that speaks volumes about his consistency and talent. Unlike some of his flashier peers, Casper's greatness often flew under the radar, but those who truly understood golf knew just how special he was. Casper's success wasn't just about winning tournaments. It was about being a dominant force in the game. In 1968, 1969, and 1970, he finished third in McCormick's World Golf Rankings, the very first years the rankings were published. This was a testament to how consistently he played at an elite level. While some golfers had their hot streaks and then faded, Casper remained at the top of his game for years. One of the biggest highlights of his career was his success in major championships. He won 3 of them: the 1959 U.S. Open, the 1966 U.S. Open, and the 1970 Masters Tournament. Each of these victories was special in its own way, but his win at the 1966 U.S. Open was particularly unforgettable. He faced off against Arnold Palmer, one of the biggest stars in golf history, in an 18-hole playoff. Many expected Palmer to come out on top, but Casper had other plans. He played steady, smart golf and took down the fan favorite, proving that he belonged among the sport's greats. Some people argued that Palmer wasn't at his best that day due to fatigue, but Casper's victory was well-earned, and it remains one of the most famous moments in golf history. Beyond the majors, Casper was a dominant presence on the PGA Tour. He was the PGA Tour money winner twice in 1966 and 1968, meaning he earned more prize money than any other golfer during those seasons. That was no small feat, especially considering the competition he faced from legends like Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and Gary Player. His excellence was recognized further when he was named PGA Player of the Year in both 1966 and 1970. Winning that award once is impressive. Winning it twice proves you're in a league of your own. Casper was also known for his remarkable consistency. He won at least one PGA Tour event for 16 straight seasons, from 1956 to 1971. That's the 3rd longest streak in PGA Tour history, trailing only Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, who each had a 17-year streak. For 16 years, Casper found a way to win, no matter how tough the competition was or how much the game evolved. That level of sustained excellence is incredibly rare in any sport. Another measure of his greatness was his scoring ability. Casper won the Vardon Trophy 5 times for having the lowest scoring average on the PGA Tour. He earned this honor in 1960, 1963, 1965, 1966, and 1968. This means that year after year, he was consistently one of the most efficient and precise players on tour. Golf isn't just about winning tournaments, it's about playing at a high level week in and week out. Casper's 5 Vardon trophies prove that he was one of the best pure golfers of his time. One of the biggest contributions Casper made to the sport was his role in the Ryder Cup. He represented the United States 8 times in the prestigious tournament, playing in 1961, 1963, 1965, 1967, 1969, 1971, 1973, and 1975. Then, in 1979, he was named the non-playing captain of the U.S. team. That level of involvement in the Ryder Cup is rare and speaks to how much he meant to American golf. Not only was he a key part of the team, but he also holds the record for scoring the most points in Ryder Cup history by an American player. In a competition that has seen legends like Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer, that's an incredible accomplishment. While Casper made his mark on the PGA Tour, he also found success later in life on the Senior PGA Tour, now known as the Champions Tour. From 1982 to 1989, he won 9 events, including 2 senior major championships. Even as he got older, his competitive spirit never faded. Some golfers struggle to maintain their edge after their prime years, but Casper continued to prove that he could compete with the best, no matter his age. Casper's impact on the game extended far beyond just playing. After retiring from professional golf, he became a well-respected golf course designer. He designed several courses, including the Highlands, the Palm, and Eagle Crest in Sun City, Summerlin, Nevada. He also worked on the Hidden Oaks Golf Course, a beloved 9-hole par 3 course in a quiet neighborhood just north of Santa Barbara, California. One of his most notable designs, the Chula Vista Golf Course, is a par 73 layout with 3 par 5s on the front 9 and 2 on the back. His passion for the sport didn't end with his own playing career. He wanted to help shape the future of golf by creating courses that players of all skill levels could enjoy. In addition to his course design work, Casper also played a major role in golf course management. Billy Casper Golf became one of the largest privately owned golf course management companies in the United States. At its peak, the company owned or managed roughly 150 golf courses across the country. Under his leadership, BCG became known for its commitment to growing the game and making golf more accessible to players of all backgrounds. One of Casper's most meaningful contributions was his involvement in charitable efforts. Billy Casper Golf annually hosted the world's largest golf outing, a national event that raised money for military charities. This outing brought golfers together for a good cause, showing that the sport could be used to make a difference in people's lives. Casper always believed in giving back, and his commitment to supporting military veterans and their families was a reflection of his generous spirit. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you had a good time, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss out. See you in the next one.